Everyone, it's Shar from Shar's Fashion Nation, and we are here for the Gluten-free Gals Collab. Yes, I am wearing my back brace. It's important. I know it looks funny, but this t-shirt's comfortable. So I am hosting this collab with my fellow gluten-free gal, Life with Christine. You have to go over there and check hers out. She told me how alright, this is the gluten-free bread that I've been eating from the grocery store. But I have this. This is almost $7 at Aldi. Who can really afford that anymore, right? Smells good, it tastes good, it's all that, it really does. But when you have bread flour, and I sent her a package of the King Arthur Baking Company bread flour. Now the recipe sounds a little weird, but it's okay. Not all bread is made the same, okay? And sorry for the view on the camera. Sorry, Christine, for the amount of ceiling. But if I turn this the other way, you would see the whole darn thing. And don't mind the kitchen. We're still waiting to get it fixed. Costs money, you know. So I have this. Over here on the stove, I just washed this loaf pan. She told me she used a longer loaf pan. And she told me how her bread turned out in advance doing this. Now, it normally calls for vegetable oil. Rob didn't get my text, or this wouldn't be here. But I just happen to have extra virgin olive oil. Strangely, it calls for white vinegar. Why? I don't know, but we are going to put this together. It also asks for active dry yeast. And so, kind of a little furry animal is out there now. Anyway, I don't care. It's cute, whatever it is. But, oh, it's a little chubby squirrel. Squirrel? Anyway, so I have the recipe. I don't know what that was. I wiped down the counter. So I have the recipe right here for the King Arthur Baking Company easy gluten-free bread. It is, I think, a 15-minute for prep. See that there? Let's see if I can. Yeah. I would put this, sorry about that, I'm allergic to bullshit. Anyway, so this shouldn't take too long. I'm also going to try to make sure that I don't have dog hair on me or cat hair. That's why my hair is pulled up in a bun. So let's have fun with this. Let me get this camera turned around because I also have to grab the bowl I will be using. If I can get this to pause. Okay, so over here, and I get to use these for the first time. This came with my new ceramic cookware, bakeware set that I got from Walmart, Time and Table. Which I was so happy to have, because if you have to live the gluten-free life, invest in some ceramic cookware. You'll notice the change in flavor. So we're going to get down to, for the first time ever, opening this bag of gluten-free flour. Now the other one I have opened before. I have y'all like new tablet, we have new things going on lately. Over here on the stove, right there. I have some water heating, so that lukewarm water will be the thing. So for the dough, you need 1 1/4 cup of lukewarm water, 2 tablespoons of granulated sugar. Move this flour out of the way. Now, I don't use your regular bleached sugar. I try to use a raw cane sugar. That's just me. That's what I do. It's more natural to put a natural sugar than it is bleached. I know these are bleached. Don't get on me for that. That's not my fault. Now, that vegetable oil, which is now being substituted with this, with the extra virgin olive oil. Apparently that goes over the top of the bread. So 2 teaspoons of active dry yeast or instant yeast. I'm trying to find the freaking instruction part here. Goodness. That's a dang good question. I did save the recipe. I haven't saved the sign-in part. So, if that's even showing, yeah. So, okay, ingredients. How about instruction? That helps. That substitutes. Okay. To make the dough in a large bowl or a stand mixer, which I don't have yet, combine water, sugar, oil, vinegar, and yeast. Add gluten-free bread flour and beat using either a spoon. And by the way, if you're going to use a spoon with this, do I even have a wooden spoon anymore? I do suggest that I do. Honestly, with bread, you use the tried and true classic utensil. Always use a wooden spoon. Always. You know, like doing that across your pan. Okay, we're going to check this water. Yep, that's lukewarm. Okay. So now that that is lukewarm, now normally this is what I would do. This is just me. This is just the way I've always known to do bread. But this is a whole different gig now. Oh, love that. There's that. You heard that. Freshly open. I would take the water and the yeast and activate that in a separate bowl. That's just me. That's how I'm used to doing that. But I will follow their instruction. Right? So over here, I actually put 1 1/2 cups of water. So that's your 1/4. Like I said, I am so happy. And we still have some water in there. I'm not hanging that over my brand new phone. Something got on my phone. We'll come back up here. Water. What about the yeast? Okay. Yeah, we're going to use those. 2 teaspoons. This is a teaspoon. A bigger one is a tablespoon. So we need 2 teaspoons of active dry yeast. Now I'm not going to do more than 2. This is the follow the instruction gig. Put the lid on that. I kind of like, don't ask me why, I kind of like the smell of yeast. Is that weird? Now what I'm going to suggest that you do with this, you go ahead and you stir that. It's just me. This is how I've always done this. Kind of just proud of my cooking skills. Because it takes 15 minutes to do this part or longer, depending on the person. Get this stirred up until that's almost dissolved. Now we're going to go on to sugar. How much sugar do we put in? 2 tablespoons of sugar. Now that's not too much sugar, honestly, and I'm so glad. No, I can't seem to find my gray cookbook anywhere, and I've been looking for that. Now, if you want to know, sugar actually helps to activate your bread yeast to be even fluffier. Sorry for that. So, again, you want to stir that until you get most of that sugar in there. All that, most of the sugar, I should say, is, yeah, there's no eggs and milk in this, people. If you're a vegan, I'm not vegan, and I'm not vegetarian. I do love me some meat. It's gross to some of you, but, you know, hey, people have been eating meat for centuries. In the native world, vegan just means bad hunted. 1 tablespoon of vinegar. Oh, the smell. I'll clean my coffee pot with this later. Remember, you can clean your coffee pot and you can use this for the outside of your house as well. If you didn't know that, you can use, I don't know why they call it white vinegar. That's clear. Okay, so we have that in there. Okay, so let's go back down here to the rest of the instruction. It says to combine it together. Now, I don't use salt. A lot of people might be like, oh, but you need the salt. I do not use salt because I was born with 2 hearts that function. Two hearts that beat as one. They make my body run. So the sugar, the vinegar, the yeast, and I did not add oil into it yet. This is a fresh thing of olive oil. Well, I guess I opened it. It's fine. Let's come back here to how many vinegar. 2 tablespoons. Ooh, that seems like a lot. We're not doing that vegetable oil. And you know what though? I don't mean for like my videos to come off kind of Food Network, you know? I can't help that. I cannot help that. Okay, so now that's all combined together there, except for this. No salt. 2.5 cups of the bread flour. Put the measuring spoon there. I'll just put the recipe here. And then I always let my bread flours rise, but that's just me. I hope this calls for that. Like I said, I'm just following the instruction. Now, what I like to do is a little bit at a time. I really packed that in there. Just a little bit of this at a time. I know. Stirring with my left hand, working this with my right hand because I'm ambidextrous. And then I'll put the other 1.5 cups in a minute. Now, like I said, you know, when you're working with baking stuff like this, it takes time and patience. Not a lot of people have patience for making breads or a lot of things, actually. You know, like we're on social media stuff so much that sometimes you can get burnt out. You really can. You can just get burnt out from a lot of things. Now, if that's all lumpy in there, you can actually take a fork to that, which I might. I have a lot of bread flour left, which I'm not mad at. That's not even a full cup. We'll fix that in a minute. Just need a teeny amount to make up for that. That's the other cup, and then we'll do the 1/2 cup in this. And then once this gets to a certain point, I will be needy. I will be needy as a needy person. Now, one way that you can do this without getting the dough to stick to your hand is oil. Put a little oil on your hand, and honestly, it won't hurt. No, gotta take some of that flour out. Nope, still gotta take some of that flour out. Y'all, I washed my hands. My hands are clean. Now I kind of feel like that old lady, like Nona Pia. Because a young man's like, Nona Pia, did you wash your hands? Because you know, like some of her viewers would be like, ew, she didn't wash her hands. Sure, she did. This is the part where you can put either cooking spray or a little oil on your hands. Since I have the oil right here, don't be afraid to do this, honestly. You'd be surprised how many products actually have olive oil in it. Like perfumes and such. You'd be surprised how many actually have olive oil. I'll just set that spoon there. It served its purpose. That'll come off easier because I have oiled my hands. I like to knead the dough because the dough gets a little kneady. And then what I will do is, I'll put brown sugar in here. Oh, that's a substitute. I'm reading out like, what? Brown sugar. Why? It's got sugar in it. Now, I don't know if you can tell how good that's coming together now. Move the baking flour over. Give my elbows some room. Even though that's sticking to my hands a little bit, it's not sticking like most bread doughs would do. Like I said, knead this in your bowl. A lot of people just do it on their counter. You knead this, and you know what this does is helps you with your arthritis. Oh yes, this is very helpful for arthritics. Why I used to sculpt a lot, that sculpty clay. Oh yes, that was really good. For that. See how that's making a nice firm ball of bread dough. So I don't have a screen protector on my phone yet, so I should probably move that freaking olive oil. Or just put my phone over here. But yep, get that like that. Try to get as much of this in there as possible. Next step to this that I will do is let the bread dough rest. They say it takes 2 hours and some minutes for this bread dough. Now, look at that. Look how pretty that dough ball is. And look at my hand. Like I was saying, put a little olive oil or oil on your hand or your cooking spray. And I'm going to say, if you want to, you could probably use avocado oil in this. I've never worked with avocado oil, so I can't tell you that for sure. But try to just make this into a nice, smooth ball of dough. As smooth as you can get it. If you can't get it smooth, don't even worry about it. Right? Don't worry about it. So let me wash my hands real quick. Get the oil off so I can touch my phone. And we'll scroll to the next part of this. Now this video, I apologize for being long, but it's a long video for a good reason. Yes, I did wash the towel. So this is what I always do. Put your towel over your bread. Now, I don't have any tea towels. I do have this towel that I use in the kitchen, but like I said, I have washed the towel thoroughly. And now, let's go ahead and put that over here in the sink. I'll just set this over here, just in case, because you never know. Okay? Now that we have that, like that. Now, Christine said that she put the olive oil over the top of her bread. That's a substitute. Bake mode. Bake mode. That's funny. Let's see. Okay. Mixing hand or by flat beater. Okay, that spoon moved by itself. Whatever. I live in a freaking haunted house. Cover the dough. I did that. Set aside for 20 minutes. So that's going to happen. It'll firm up slightly, more like, and look more like dough than batter. Mine just looks like dough. Transfer dough to a greased or gluten-free floured work surface. Gently knead dough. Fold dough. This is true. You do actually want to fold your dough. And towards you. I don't need a scraper. Then pat down, rotate dough 90 degrees, then fold again until it becomes firm. Let rest for 60 more minutes. This is the typical dough recipe. Shake bread, uncover the dough, and repeat folding process 5 to 6 times. Loosely shape. 10 inches long, about 3 inches wide. Place the log in a parchment lined greased baking sheet. I have a baking sheet, but I also have my bread pan. I'm not sure about putting it on a baking sheet. We can try it, don't get me wrong. Christine did that, but she says hers didn't. You'll find out tomorrow. And get rid of some of this. I don't even watch half of those people. Sorry, Rich. Sorry about that. Rich and I've been talking this morning. Okay, so we're gonna let that do its thing and we'll be right back. I will be editing this video though. So one thing, because I'm scrolling through, you bake this on 400 for 30 to 35 minutes. Also, let's make a good note of this. It depends on your weather and your climate. No, are you sitting low towards the ocean, or like myself, or are you in a mountainous area like Christine? That is key when you are baking or making candy. Let's make a note of that. Or making candy. Like, let's say divinity, right? You have to have the right temperature and the right seasonal atmosphere to make divinity. It is the same thing when you bake. You have to have the exact temperature and seasonal atmosphere for your baking and candies to come out correct. I used to do personal cakes for people, all sorts of pastries back in the day, and I mean way back in the day, when I lived in Philly. I did used to make personal cakes for people and cinnamon rolls and stuff like that. I would use real sugar, or for the diabetics, they said, "Are you sure that this is diabetic approved?" And I'm like, "Pretty sure I used Splenda like you asked." And people were amazed that it tasted like it had real sugar in it. So anyway, remember that. 400 for 30 to 35 minutes. Not microns, minutes. 400 for 30 to 35 minutes. Now that it's been like 20 minutes, we're going to check that dough. Has it risen? Oh, it has. Oh my gosh, check that out. That is good. It says greased or floured surface. I honestly don't feel like cleaning up a bunch of flour off of here. So, and I do wash the counters on a daily basis. That was a little flour from here. You know, if you have pets, you have to clean your surfaces. Now remember, this house is not exactly young. This house is really not young. And yeah, you can see what I cook and bake with over here, like this stuff I leave out, because I always use it. check your surface too. Even if you've cleaned it, just check it. Okay, now that we have that, now this is dough kneading, all right? You need your bread. Let's make sure that you're in camera. You are. Thank goodness. Need your dough. Now, a lot of people be like, oh my gosh, why aren't you using that? Because it says that you can use a grease surface. I could have just used cooking spray on the surface for all that freaking goes. Like I said, if you are arthritic, seriously arthritic, you need to knead things. Like I said, get yourself some clay. Or, see how I'm doing this? We do it twice this way. We turn it. We do it this way. Make that into a loaf. Okay, so that's enough times doing that. It says 5 to 6, but I know I did more. Now, the thing about doing this, right? I'm going to let this rest again. I'm going to put it back in the bowl and cover it again. I'm going to wash this, although I probably shouldn't. I have a thing about that. So I'm going to wash my hands and then wash the surface. Trust me, I know what it looks like. But you know it's oil. One thing I will use, let me cover that real quick, because we need to cover it. Cover that dough real quick. Ooh, let me get that off there. I have a pet freaking peeve. I will not put paper or cloth. I don't care if it's an electric freaking stove. By the way, this stuff cleans a lot of things in a house. And it will clean this. What I will do is pause and then get some paper towel and dry this up. Where is the grease? It's not there anymore. Anyway, I'm going to pause this. We'll be back. So I have my timer set for the next time we take the dough and knead it. So for a brief moment, let's talk about gluten-free and people that should be on the diet. I kind of tease Rich a little bit because he's diabetic. He'll eat whatever, but he does manage his blood sugars, and I am proud of Rich for doing that. So shout out to Rich Lux for taking care of his blood sugars for his diabetes. So diabetics, people with thyroid disorder, which means that your thyroid and your pituitary gland are not working together. Say that real quick. And then there's Hashimoto's disease, which means that you have more white blood cells than you do red blood cells, and it attacks your thyroid and your organs, including the pancreas, which makes you, seem like you're diabetic, but you're not actually diabetic. Yeah. Now, gluten, you don't have to be gluten-free. You can eat gluten. That's up to you. But yeah, the more you control it, the healthier you can be. Sorry for my makeup. I didn't mean to do my eyeshadow like that, but y'all, I still got blemishes and I do cover them. So, makeup. It would have just looked weird if I only had foundation on. So, but okay, remember that. And this recipe is also vegan friendly. The cat scratched the wall. Why? I had no idea. That's what that is. So do you remember that? It's Also keto friendly if you're on the keto, which gluten-free and keto are not the same thing. No, it's not. I don't know why that lip color did that. Joke around for a bit. But anyway, it's keto friendly, gluten-free friendly. It's vegetarian friendly. Well, except for, well, no, you can have that. There's no egg, there's no milk, and so that means it's vegan friendly. I might tease about some. It's only a joke. Some vegans act like they need to eat a steak. Anyway, because did you know that more creatures perish growing fruits and vegetables than they do for us to eat? Technically, they're the fertilizer in that situation. Ashes to ashes. But anyway, see you soon in the kitchen again. We have 19 minutes left on the timer. I know it doesn't seem like that for you, but it is for me. Oh, and it says grease a sheet pan or line it with parchment, so I just have this with the parchment, and I'm preheating the oven, because as soon as we take this out and knead the dough again, I'm gonna take it. Oh yes, let's let that girl rest. Look, she's almost there. And now a part I almost forgot. Whoops. Good thing I looked. Okay, brush the loaf with. Okay. First, let's grease the surface, because at this point, look at the dough. Like I said, sometimes you just gotta be a little silly. Can't always be serious. Sometimes you just gotta be the silly person. Okay, so the thing with this is, again, take your bread dough. Ooh, look how spongy. It's not SpongeBob, but it's spongy. Without being SpongeBob. Okay, I'm gonna move this over here to the sink, because we are done with that, which gives us more surface here. Now when you knead it, okay, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So I'm actually just going to form this now. And what you're gonna do, I'm going to form it like it is an actual loafness. Now, it don't look all that big and all that. I don't actually mind that, because once you form it, put it on the parchment paper. Now, the thing that it calls for over here on the parchment is for it to be on here like this, covered. Good thing I left the left pan out. Now, it also says heated surface. So I have the oven on, right? So I have the oven on, and we're going to leave that on there for 20 minutes. I gotta wash my hands real quick so I can touch my screen. Look all I've washed my hands. But okay, and then I'm gonna clean the surface. But that has to be 20 to 25 minutes, but since I have it over the heat vent for the oven. So that's the side of the stove where the stovepipe comes up for the oven. So that should only be 20 minutes, and we'll be back with the actual bread because that's going to take 30 to 35 minutes. I forgot one thing. Just one thing. Hopefully I still have a pastry brush in the drawer. Aha! Anyway, I forgot one thing. You're supposed to, I think this is stuff Christine did, was to brush some oil over the top. So now we can let this rest for 20 minutes. Okay, more stuff to wash. Okay, it's been 20 minutes, and like I said, I had it on here where the stovepipe is, or stovepipe. Look at that dough. And I already washed the dishes that were in the sink. So this raised really nice. Now we're going to put this in the oven. I know I said we'd be back with the finished product. That's really hot too. So put this in the oven, 400 for 30 to 35 minutes. I think I might put it on 33. This oven does get kind of hot. It really does. So in it goes. Time for that timer, and we'll be right back. This is done. It is hard on the outside. It's a good golden color. I have to admit that. It really is. This has to sit for a few moments. Really not too long. And then I'm going to cut this. I have a bread knife. Thank goodness. Thank goodness. Something I got off of Amazon about a year or two ago was cutlery. I couldn't go without cutlery. I have not used the bread knife yet. It's a good serrated edge bread knife. So I'll put this part of the bread knife back in there. Each one of these knives has its own sheath. That's still nice and hot. Christine, this is what you were talking about, girl. I know this is what she was talking about, but rock. Freaking hard on the outside. But let's look at the inside of her. Is she even done? She is. She's done, but that's the heel of the bread, the end piece. So we will honestly just let this sit for a minute. Yeah, let's let this sit for a few minutes. And Rob and I will taste this. Now that we are out here in the living room, we have words of wisdom over here. Take your piece, Rob. Rob's gonna try this with me. It's buttered. It's bread. I agree with you, Christine. This is a dense bread. Would you agree with that, Rob?
Absolutely. Filling.
It is. Something like this I could see having with soup.
Mm-hmm.
Or a stew. Something like that. That's what I would serve this bread with. I think this would also go good with a nice jelly. We're not going to do that right now. But,
Or even not like, I think, like you said with jelly,
Mm-hmm.
a piece of this
Put some
and jelly is like almost like a meal. It's so.
Mm-hmm. I was only really able to cut it kind of thick because that's the kind. Ooh, get that little bit of a little buttery flavor on there. I would also use this as a garlic bread.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
And make the gluten-free garlic bread pizza. Think about that. Or make these into the gluten-free, dairy-free, soy-free. That's a lot of words. Pizza cups.
Yeah. Or because like it developed a really good crust to it.
Mm-hmm.
It would probably just make
Good
a
stuff.
great pizza.
Or you could just stuff it full.
Yeah, you can do all kinds of things with this.
There's so many recipes for this. Just so many recipes. Go check out my friend Christine, Life with Christine. This is good though. We'll see. I'm filming this on a Friday. So 9 o'clock on the West Coast. 9 a.m. on the West Coast. Which is noon out here on the East Coast. Excuse me, both of our videos will be up. This is good though.
I would like another piece.
Dense but good. I'll cut you another piece.
No, I'm just saying it.
You know. I would also have this with ramen. Lay it out flatter, and this can be crackers. Think about that.
Oh, yeah, there's no end, but like, so like that's so done. I mean, we're so used to having like
fluffy,
you know, all these air bubbles, huge air bubbles in loaves.
And you know what those air bubbles are? That's the gluten element of that dough being constantly stretched. Now this, you obviously don't stretch it like you would regular bread, which activates the gluten in the wheat, because this is wheat, but it is a non-gluten. There's a lot that goes into making things gluten instead of gluten-free. So with that said, stay happy, stay healthy, stay positive, and as always, stay blessed. Go check out Christine. And I hope you enjoyed this video. I will see you in the next one, because Rob wants another piece of bread. Even though you could just help yourself. Bye.